Hello there. Today we're going to go ahead and talk about the hidden costs that can come from working. So, we talked about benefits and how important benefits are to your overall compensation. So, basically, just meaning how much do you really make from a job. A reminder of some of those benefits: health insurance, huge one, being paid for days that you're not there, so vacation time or paid leave. Could even be things like a lunch that's provided by the company car, company phone. Some of those things can fall into the category of a benefit or a perk. Today we're going to talk about costs, though, which are the opposite. So there are actually ways that taking a job can bring more expenses into your life. So first one is, what does it cost for you to get to and from work? I guess an example for me, I live down on the south side of Lincoln. So one expense for me for working at Malcolm is it's a little bit more costly in gas, as I have to drive about 35 minutes one way to get to my job. So if I was able to move to a house that was closer to school, that would be a way to lower those costs. Or if I decided to work at a different school that was closer to my house, that would also be a way to lower working costs. Parking is also an expense. We don't think about that much in Lincoln or even Omaha. But if you work in downtown Lincoln um, and you want to park in a garage every day, you're going to probably want to pay for a monthly subscription to that parking garage. If you were parking in meters all day, you'd be putting money in the meters. If you live in a bigger city, parking can be a big expense. So it's nice that a lot of jobs in Nebraska don't require you to pay for parking. What required clothing or uniform do you have? If you have to wear a business suit every day, that can be a pretty big expense to buy, 5 or 6 different business suits. Perhaps you have to have particular uniform and maybe you have to pay for that uniform. Maybe there's a certain pair of shoes you have to wear. That's an expense also. Professional dues or union dues. I'll just give you kind of an example with my job. As a coach, there is a coaching basically union, which means it's a group of coaches in Nebraska that all kind of get together and form an organization. And that organization provides benefits to the coaches. But to be a part of that organization, the coaches pay a yearly fee, and that can give them some benefits like added insurance, liability insurance in case one of their athletes got hurt. Tools and equipment required for the job. You may need to buy a computer of your own. You may need to buy actual tools. Maybe you're going to be a mechanic or work in construction. And any additional equipment that your boss requires you own for that job would fall into this category. And then we have childcare, which is a big one. Having a kid in daycare is expensive. In Nebraska, it can cost anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month. So that's quite a bit. Then if you think about having multiple kids, that adds up pretty quickly. Something that people are struggling with right now in today's economy is if they still have to go into work, but kids aren't at school, okay, then they may have to find a way for their kids to be, cared for. As child care centers may be closing because they're restricted on how many people they can have in one room. It's kind of an all-around expense, but definitely a big cost of working. Some people actually decide if there's, if you're married and one person maybe has a lower salary than the other, if some families actually decide I'm going to quit working because it's costing too much money to send 3 kids to daycare, and I would actually save money by quitting my job and staying at home and taking care of them myself. Education or a license required for the job, any type of training. If we think about college, well, this is a pretty big expense, and you may have to pass those requirement expectations in order to get hired at the job at all.